If you've been holding cannabis stocks in your portfolio, they have been burning a hole in your pocket for the better part of a year. And so the question is this going to continue into 2022? Because a lot of these stocks, they fell from highs in February to like 1/8 or 1/10 of the price. I mean, some are down 80, 85%, 90%. And this is wild because this was supposed to be the year after Trump when President Biden, Vice President Harris, a Democratic controlled Congress is in power. We thought that we're going to see some legislation pushed forward to see some new laws take place that maybe federally it's going to be legal. Because remember, while state by state, it's kind of legal. I mean, I live in Jersey. I'm all over New York City, New York a lot. Everyone, they just go and they smoke up in the open. Nobody really goes after anyone. But federally, it's illegal. Fun fact about me is I used to be involved in a medical marijuana company. And for the better part of a year, I put a lot of time into it. Then we kind of all went our separate ways. And because I'm a web developer during the day, a couple of years back, I opened up a CBD store. It was called CBD USA LLC. And for me, it was such a headache because I was trying to drop ship CBD from all these different places to a lot of the states. And I couldn't even open up a bank account. The payment processing was super expensive. And eventually I just scrapped that. I said, this is taking up too much time from my day-to-day business. And so I'm going to go elsewhere. But I digress. The real question is this devil's lettuce? I thought it was all about the green, but right now it's been a whole lot of red for the better part of a year. So the question is this all going to continue? I'm going to jump in to two stocks that I think you should know about, Tilray and Canopy Growth. Remember, there's a lot of weed stocks out there. You saw on Reddit, one of the most popular ones, SNDL Sundial. Shout out Kev. I know you love this one. But the ones I'm going to cover is CGC and Tilray, and we're going to see if maybe in 2022 there's going to be new legislation passed. Personally, unfortunately, I don't think so. I think that small distributors, they're going to continue to take away from the big distributors. I think that economies of scale is not necessarily a driving force or a competitive advantage in the marijuana space, at least not so far. And unfortunately, I don't think that we're going to see that federal legislation that just says it's a green light, it is federally legal everywhere. Marijuana, it's no longer an illegal substance. And so I don't think that's going to happen until we see a new administration, because the way things are going, a lot of these presidents, when they run for office, they promise a whole lot of things, but they've been really, really slow to get stuff passed. And the way things are going, I think that the best chance to see legalization on the federal level is if we go ahead and get a Democrat in office in the new election. Somebody aside from Biden, new administration, and they really push for this, because Biden and Harris have not been pushing for it enough, and I don't think change in that sense is going to come. But let's jump in. Let's take a look at Tilray, Canopy Growth, and I'm really, really curious on your thoughts in the comment section. So if I get enough comments asking me to cover, Sundial or one of these smaller cannabis companies, I'll go ahead and take a really, really deep dive. So let me know in the comment section, and let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. All right, guys, so take a look here. Canopy Growth Corporation, ticker symbol CGC, trading on the NASDAQ exchange, closed today at $9.02. That means that if you invested a year ago, you're down over 60%. That is a terrible, terrible investment. What's even worse is that if you bought on around February 10th of this past year, the price was trading at almost $56.50. So some people bought this stock at $55, and if they're holding on to it till today, they're down well over 80%. It's trading at $9.02 today. That's crazy. This market cap of $4.94 billion, at its highs in February, it was around $25 billion. This is bananas type numbers, and I highly recommend, if you want to see the relevant new news articles that came out from Canopy, you can always just Google this in Google Finance, and you'll see all the articles. You can read about some of the sales and purchases that the company recently made. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Tilray's price, and you can see that it really isn't any better, but the pain from the high to the low today is even worse. Take a look at this. On around February 10th as well, it was trading at $67 at its highs. And what's it trading at today? $7.28. Wah, wah, wah. This is a huge loss. Its market cap is 3.37 billion, but at its height over here in February, it was probably closer to 30 billion. And this is bananas. And why? Because people were saying President Biden, Vice President Harris, Democratic Congress, the Democrats are in control. They're going to finally make it federally legal for marijuana to run rampant around the United States. And there's going to be all these different products. There's going to be all these brands. There's going to be all these drinks that come in, and they're going to saturate the market with a lot of cannabis type product. But that clearly didn't happen. And what's more, if you take a look here, and I always love to do this, whenever I'm looking at a growth company that doesn't necessarily have profit yet, the PE doesn't tell us anything because it's not applicable. And so what I like to look at is the price to sales. And the price to sales for Canopy Growth is 8.35, which means people are paying 8.35 multiple for every dollar of sales coming in. The price to book can also be useful to look at, especially when you compare it. So if we look at Tilray, the price to sales is actually 4.92. And so according to these valuations, it looks like Tilray might be the better deal. But obviously this doesn't paint the full story. You'd have to go look at the business model. You'd have to go look at the growth rates, at the relevant data. And if we take a look at profit margin, this is also something I love to take a peek at. You'll see that Canopy Growth's profit margin is negative 215%. This is horrendous. And if you take a look at Tilray, their profit margin is negative 66.49%, means something that you can stomach a little better, but still, it's much less than ideal. And if we go here, again, in Google Finance, if you scroll down, you can actually see the financial performance. You can see like a snapshot of it. So the green is the revenues they brought in, and the orange or yellow is the net income. So at what cost did they bring in the revenue? Because remember, you can bring $1 billion in revenue, but if you spent like 20 billion bringing it in, your net income is going to reflect that. So you should always take a peek at these. And if you look quarter over quarter, it looks like Canopy Growth, their revenue was kind of steady. It's just steady here, where their net income is all over the map. And if you look at the annual, you will see that their revenue is actually going up quite nicely. But their net income is worsening every single year quite a bit. And that's not something that you wish to see in a company that you want to invest a lot in, because it's growth and it's going to have a great growth story. And if we take a look here at Tilray, so over the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters, you can also see that the revenue kind of steady with the net income being all over the map. And if you take a look at the annual, you will see a similar picture to Canopy Growth, where the revenues are actually growing quite nicely, but the net income is worsening quite a bit. However, the net income relative to the revenue, it looks like Tilray has a much better, cleaner picture. And so if you're thinking which company has a chance to become profitable sooner and maintain that profit and actually have a PE value, you would probably put your bet on Tilray. And the other thing I want to point out is that you should never just go off of valuation measures. You should always go to the source. Go to the actual company websites, read everything that you can, understand their brands, go read up the reviews of their brands, see how big their following is, see what their plan is. Because remember, when you're buying something, you are looking at forward-looking measures. You don't really care what happened in the past. You want to see what's going to be happening in the future. You want to form a thesis based on the past, but going forward into the future. And there's always an investors section where you can go and you can read a lot of helpful information that will help you make a more informed decision. And the same thing with Tilray. Now, Tilray's website, as a web developer during the daytime, I like Tilray's website a little bit better because I like that they produce a lot more information. It's cleaner, easier to navigate, and there's a lot more here. And by the way, whenever you're researching a company, you always want to go look at the leadership, read up on their bios, understand who they are, look up at their track record, make sure it's run by really, really high qualified, driven individuals that have a good success rate from the past. So I appreciate you guys sticking around till the end of this video. Again, hopefully we see a spark in some of these cannabis stocks. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of the video. Are you invested in Tilray or Cannabis or CGC? Where do you think that this industry is going? Is it going to continue on this downslide all the way below basement floor prices? I mean, I think that we're sitting on basement prices with some of these. I can't imagine them going any lower because it just seems like they're going to go out of business. They're going to turn to zero. I mean, how much can you drop from a high just about 9 months ago? Are we going to see 95% drops? That's really like a lot of people aren't talking about it, but this industry, it is either heavily discounted right now or it's just going into the ground and is just never going to sprout again. So we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments which stock you want me to cover next. If it's a cannabis one, which crypto you want me to cover next, which option trading strategy. Do it all on this channel. It's full steam ahead. We're almost in the new year. Enjoy the New Year's if I don't see you guys until then, and I will catch you in the next video.